Over the years, we have had the pleasure of watching some of these top athletes also fight in mixed martial arts. And because their skills and talent are at the highest level, many of these fighters have also reached the considerable heights of mixed martial arts. And in this issue, I bring you a list of the top mixed martial arts fighters who won Olympic medals in wrestling and judo before coming to mixed martial arts. 10th place, Mark Madsen. Madsen is a UFC fighter who won a silver medal in Greco-Roman wrestling at the 2016 Olympic Games in Brazil. He has also won numerous medals at world and European wrestling competitions. Although he may yet have titles to win in mixed martial arts, Madsen is already a huge star in his native Denmark. Madsen hasn't moved into mixed martial arts since retiring from wrestling, which is very strange. He started fighting mixed martial arts in 2013, when he was still wrestling. And before coming to the UFC, Madsen made his way to various European promotions. 9th place, Kevin Jackson. Kevin Jackson was a beast both on the wrestling mat and in the cage. He was one of very few to win an Olympic wrestling gold medal in 1992 and a UFC 14 tournament 5 years later. And it's to bet a lot of people haven't heard about this natural wonder now. As a wrestler, he was able to win the World Wrestling Championships and the Pan American Games twice. And after retiring from wrestling, Jackson decided to test his skills in mixed martial arts, which was something new at the time. In his second fight, he took part in a UFC 14 tournament, which he eventually won. That secured him a chance to win the UFC title against Frank Shamrock later that year. But Jackson ended up losing in the first seconds of the fight. He retired from mixed martial arts in 1998 to work as a coach for the United States national wrestling team. 8th place, Heiko Yoshida. Yoshida is a famous Japanese judoka who won a gold medal at the 1992 Barcelona Olympics. He competed in more Olympic Games in Atlanta in 1996, where he took 5th place, and Sydney in 2000, finishing only 9th. After that, he decided to continue his athletic career in mixed martial arts, and he came into the sport at just the right time, when mixed martial arts began to grow in Japan. Yoshida made his professional mixed martial arts debut at Pride 23 in 2002 against none other than Don Frye, who was a very famous fighter at the time. But Yoshida already in his first fight managed to surprise many by defeating Frye with a submission. Despite this early success, Yoshida never made much progress in mixed martial arts, although he had a decent career, in which he defeated famous fighters such as Mark Hunt and Tank Abbott. Yoshida retired from mixed martial arts in 2010 to focus on his dojo and training new champions. 7th place, Matt Lindland. In his prime, Matt Lindland was a very experienced fighter who had beaten big names like Pat Miletic and fought face-to-face with Rampage Jackson. But he is perhaps even better known for winning an Olympic wrestling silver medal in 2000. Lindland made his UFC debut a couple of months after the Olympics, and right away, he was able to build a 4-fight winning streak. That secured him a chance to try for the UFC title in the 84 kilograms weight class, but he was unable to win, losing to Murilo Bustamante. 6th place, Satoshi Ishii. Not many people are familiar with Satoshi Ishii's career due to the fact that he has never fought in the UFC, but Ishii is very famous in Japan. He became world judo champion in 2007, which made him a star, and just 1 year later, he also became the youngest judoka to win an Olympic gold medal. Ishii is without a doubt the best judoka ever to compete in mixed martial arts. He began his mixed martial arts career shortly after retiring from judo in 2009. Initially, he achieved great success by competing in smaller tournaments, especially in the East. At one point, he had an 8-fight winning streak and looked poised to sign with the UFC. Ishii even defeated some well-known UFC veterans like Tim Sylvia. However, he never achieved significant success in mixed martial arts, as he found it difficult to deal with the elite fighters of the time. 5th place, Sarah McMann. Sarah McMann made history as the first American woman to win a silver medal in wrestling at the Olympic Games. It happened in 2004 in Athens. In mixed martial arts, however, she came in 2011 as the best female wrestler the mixed martial arts world had ever seen. The excitement surrounding her arrival at the time was enormous. After 6 straight wins in less than a year, McMann got the call from the UFC. In her second UFC fight, she faced the great Ronda Rousey, but could not beat her and win the title. The fact that she got a chance to win the title in her second UFC fight shows just how experienced McMann was at the time. In the years that followed, her UFC career was a mixture of great wins and embarrassing losses. And even though her path in mixed martial arts didn't go as planned, McMann was always a tough opponent for everyone. 4th place, Mark Schultz. Mark Schultz and his brother Dave are two of the greatest wrestlers the United States has ever had. They both won gold medals in freestyle wrestling at the 1984 Olympics in Los Angeles. It was a unique achievement that made them the world stars we still remember today. Mark, who was a year older, at some point decided to apply his wrestling skills to the mixed martial arts cage. And keep in mind that this happened in the early days of the UFC, when there were no rules like rounds, time limits, or weight classes. At the 1996 UFC 9 tournament, he stepped into the cage to face Gary Goodridge and was defeated by a technical knockout in the 12th minute of the first round. However, the back injury he suffered in that fight forced him to retire and never fight mixed martial arts again. Nevertheless, he cemented his place in the mixed martial arts history books by becoming the first Olympic wrestling champion to compete in the UFC. 3rd place, Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero may be the most intimidating under 84 kilograms fighter in mixed martial arts history, but even though we all know him as a puncher, he came to mixed martial arts from freestyle wrestling. Romero won a silver medal at the 2000 Sydney Olympics. He was also a 5-time world champion and 6-time Pan American champion. These accomplishments make him one of the best wrestlers we've ever seen in mixed martial arts, or at least on paper, since he rarely used wrestling in his bouts. The Cuban came into the sport very late, at the age of 32, but his amazing genetics and athleticism allowed him to burst onto the mixed martial arts scene in a very short period of time, finishing many fights by knockouts. He fought 3 times for UFC gold, but never got to wear the belt. He left the UFC in 2020 to sign with Bellator, the second largest mixed martial arts promotion. 2nd place, Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey is by far the most popular Olympic champion ever to compete in mixed martial arts. She won a bronze medal in judo at the 2008 Olympics and has also been a 3-time Pan American champion. Even before her mixed martial arts career, Rousey was well known in the fighting world. In mixed martial arts, however, Rousey made a name for herself by fighting for Strikeforce, where she was champion. Back then, the UFC didn't have weight classes for women, but once the UFC opened its doors, Rousey became their first women's champion. She has defended her title 6 times and has several records in the UFC. She has become a world star in a very short period of time, and we will have to wait many years to see another female fighter reach the same level of fame. 1st place, Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo is among the greatest fighters ever to compete in mixed martial arts, and those are not empty words. After all, Cejudo was able to win Olympic gold in freestyle wrestling in 2008 and UFC titles into weight classes. Cejudo came to mixed martial arts 5 years after winning an Olympic gold medal. As an elite athlete, he was able to break into the UFC in less than 2 years. The most important moment of his UFC career came when he defeated the great Demetrius Johnson and won the UFC 57 kilograms title. A year later, he won his 2nd title in the 61 kilograms weight class by finishing Marlon Moraes. Thus, he became only the 4th man to hold titles into UFC weight classes.